Chapter 6, the trial balance. These are the objectives of the chapter. This is what they expect you to know by the end of the chapter. So I'm not going to go through these now. We can come back to these later once we are done with the chapter. Okay. First of all, what is a trial balance? This is the proper definition. Let me read this first, then I will explain in my own words. A trial balance is a statement that lists account names and their balances recorded in debit and credit columns on a certain day. Okay. In simple words, a trial balance is the list of the final balances of accounts. By accounts, I mean T accounts, which we covered in chapter 3. And I also taught you how to balance those accounts. So if you don't know how to make T accounts and how to balance them, please go through chapter 3 first. Chapter 3 is the most important chapter of accounting. That's why I keep telling you again and again to properly cover chapter 3 before moving on to any other topic. Okay. You will get to know what a trial balance is in the coming slides when I explain it with the help of an example. Let's see. Okay. These are example T accounts. This is how we make T accounts. It's a T-shaped account with debit and credit side. The left hand side is the debit side and the right hand side is the credit side. I also explained to you how you have to balance T accounts. So these are balanced T accounts in front of us. We have a capital account, a purchases account. Here at the bottom you can see, one second, let me mark it. Here, this is a bank account here. Okay. So this is money coming into the bank, this is money going out, and then this is the balance that we are left over with, the final balance. So in the trial balance, we will list down only the final balances of the accounts. Okay. So for example, when I write bank in the T account, I will show only 7673. Okay. I will not show all these values here, these values here. No, only the final balance left over in the bank account, and this balance is coming on the debit side, so I will record it on the debit side in the trial balance as well. Okay, let me show you the trial balance. This is a trial balance, and as you can see, I have written bank here, and then on the debit side I have written 7673. Okay, let me go back and show you the T account of bank one more time. See, this is the bank T account. Let me change the color to red. Okay, this is the bank T account. You can see the final balance is 7673 and it's on the debit side. So that's why in the trial balance, when I'm listing all the accounts, these are all the accounts that we have made, all the T accounts. I've named them here: bank, capital, purchases, and then I have just written the final amounts in the debit or credit column depending on what the final balance was for those accounts. Okay, let's look at capital now. Capital had a final balance of 6900. This is the capital account. Final balance is 6900 on the credit side. So in the trial balance, capital, see, this is the name. Let me highlight this. Capital name is written here, and the final balance, as you can see, is 6900 and it's mentioned in the credit column. So very simple. You understand now. Trial balance is simply a list of the final balances of our T accounts. That's it. Then once you're done recording all these in the trial balance, let me show you one or two more as an example. Okay, stationery and sales returns. Let's see those. One second. Go back. Previous. Erasing this. Where's stationery account? Stationery. Okay, here. This is the stationery account. So as you can see, the final balance is 76 and it's on debit side. So in the trial balance, I will write stationery and record the final balance of 76 on the debit side. Let's see sales returns now. Sales returns are here. Final balance is 89 on debit. So in the trial balance, sales returns, final balance is on the debit side and it's 89. So understand, very simple and basic. Okay, moving on. Now the debit balance of the trial balance should always be equal to the credit balance of the trial balance. Okay, if we have made no mistakes in recording the transactions and if we have made no mistake in making the T accounts, okay, only then it will balance, right? Otherwise it will not balance. If you mess up the T accounts, obviously how will this balance then? Okay, what I'm trying to say is, let me go back. For example, the bank's balance is 7673, but when I use my calculator to total this, by mistake I got 7670. In that case, I would have recorded 7670 here, which would have reduced this side balance to 8612. And then these two sides are not balancing. So unless and until you make a mistake, the trial balance should balance. For now, let's leave it there for now. It's not always the case. I will tell you why in chapter 7 in detail, because there are some errors that do not affect the total of trial balance. Okay, I will talk about those in chapter 7. But for now, if we have not made any usual error in the calculations and all, the trial balance should balance. Or if we did not skip any account, for example, this is the sales T account, but we forgot to record this in the trial balance. We have recorded all the accounts, but we forgot to record this T account in the trial balance. So obviously there will be a difference of 1670 because of this, right? So these basic errors can affect the totals of the trial balance, but if you have made no mistakes, these two should be equal. Now in this chapter, they also want you to know how to correct a trial balance with mistakes. Okay, let's look at the important concepts first. Opening inventory. What is opening inventory? Opening inventory is what the business had at the start of the year. The inventory that is available at the start of the year. Okay, it is last year's closing inventory. On the other hand, closing inventory is the value of inventory that is left unsold at the end of the financial year. And here I have made an important note that closing inventory is never included in the trial balance. Here I will not show closing inventory ever. I will write closing inventory after the trial balance in additional information, but not here. Why? Because closing inventory is already included in purchases, right? So if I record it again, the entry will be doubled. Inventory in a way will be recorded twice in the trial balance then. So that's why closing inventory is not recorded in the trial balance. Okay, let's read this. The value of closing inventory is not included in the trial balance. Total purchases are already included, and hence if closing inventory is included, the effect is doubled and the trial balance will not balance. This year's closing inventory is next year's opening inventory. Moving on. Okay, uses and limitations of trial balance. Why do we need a trial balance? First of all, a trial balance is used to check that if our debit and credit totals are equal or not. If they're not equal, we will realize that we have made some mistake in any T account, right? So it is a good way to check for mistakes of the bookkeeper. So we just verify accounting records by making the trial balance. It also helps locate errors, just like I told you. Okay, and read this in purple. However, a trial balance that balances is not a proof that all the records were accurate. Okay, I told you there are some errors which will not affect the totaling of trial balance. The trial balance will still balance, but there will be some errors present. I will talk about those errors in detail in chapter number 7, which is the next chapter. So don't worry about them. Then you will realize why. Okay, once we cover that. For now, you should know there are some errors which affect trial balance in such a way that the totals are still same. The debit and credit total will not be affected because of those errors. Okay. Now, another use of a trial balance is that it helps in preparation of financial statements. We prepare the income statement and statement of financial position by using the trial balance. Simple and straightforward. You will get to know that in chapter number 15 in detail. Moving on. So see, we are supposed to know how to amend a trial balance which contains errors. So this one on the left hand side is a trial balance with errors. One second, let me bring my pen here. Is it okay? Yes, it's working. So this is a trial balance with errors, and this is the corrected trial balance. Okay, so they expect us to know how to correct a trial balance. This is the corrected one. So as you can see, the debit total and credit totals are not equal, which simply means there are mistakes within this trial balance. So let's see. We should know dead click. Again, chapter 3. I keep emphasizing how important chapter 3 is for you. So please, if you're not good at chapter 3, go through chapter 3 again before continuing with any chapter in accounting. Okay. So let me make a dead click here. DEADCLIC. Okay. Debit, credit. I'm not writing full forms. These are expenses, these are assets. D for drawings, L for liabilities, I for income, and C for capital. I covered this in detail in chapter 3. So we know these are the sides where they should be when they increase, or this is their default side. So they should be present usually on these sides in the trial balance as well. So see, from this we can see that capital should be on the credit side of the trial balance. Is it on the credit side? No. So this is a mistake. I'm circling the mistake. And as you can see in the corrected trial balance, we have fixed that. We have moved capital balance to the credit side. Cash is an asset. Assets should be on debit side. So this is fine. Bank overdraft. Bank overdraft is a liability. It's a short-term loan from the bank. So this should be on the credit side. Okay. And in the corrected trial balance, we have moved this to the credit side. Trade receivables are an asset. Assets should be on the debit side when they increase usually, and they usually have a debit balance. Okay. Trade payables. Again, trade payables is a liability. The balance should be on the credit side, not debit side. Okay. How do I know that? Because of dead click. Okay. So again, go through chapter 3 if you're not sure why I'm doing this. Property and building, it's an asset. Assets should be on the debit side. Machinery is fine. Okay, and then we have opening inventory. Again, inventory is an asset. It should be on debit. Then we have purchases, which is fine. Purchases is an expense. Sales is an income. Incomes should be recorded on the credit side. Purchase returns should be on the credit side as expenses are decreasing. Sales returns should be on debit. Okay, and then wages, it is also an expense. It should be on the debit side. Rent received is an income, so it should be on the credit side. Electricity is an expense because you know expenses are always recorded on debit. Dead click, you can see here expense, debit. And then office equipment is an asset, so we also have to move it to the debit side. Oh, sorry, this is closing inventory. This is not office equipment. I misread this. Closing inventory is given in the trial balance. I just told you closing inventory is never recorded in the trial balance. So we have to skip this altogether. When we make the corrected trial balance, we will have to skip this. And then office equipment is an asset and it's on debit side. So this is fine. I did not circle this to show this is wrong. So let me remove this. Okay. So the circle ones are wrong, wrongly entered on the wrong side of the trial balance. So let's fix that. Capital is moved to the credit side. Then you can see bank overdraft. We have moved that as well. 670 trade receivables is now on debit. 800 trade payables are now on credit side. And then we have fixed all of these as well. As you can see, 70,000 is moved, 900 is moved. Okay, 890 stays on the same side because this was fine. 760, we have moved this to credit. 400, we have moved this to credit. 50, we have moved this to debit. 900 debit, 450 credit, and then 200 debit. And as you can see, we have skipped closing inventory because closing inventory is never recorded in trial balance. It's already part of purchases. Okay. And then office equipment debit, which is fine. Now the totals are equal. So we have corrected the errors and we have prepared a corrected trial balance. This is the corrected trial balance. Whenever they will give you a trial balance which has mistakes like this, you will prepare a fresh trial balance. They will give you space, you will have to make it there. Okay, don't make changes to this. No, you will have to make a new one and then make it properly. Moving on, let me erase all this. Okay, errors that do not affect the trial balance. See, These are few errors which do not affect the trial balance. What is meant by this is that even if you commit this error, your trial balance will still be equal. The debits will still be equal to the credits. So you will not be able to identify these errors using the trial balance. Okay, this is what they want you to know. We will discuss these errors in detail in chapter 7, which is just after this. So I'm not going through these now, even though it is part of this topic and should be discussed. But as I'm going to make the video for chapter 7 just now after this, you can quickly open that video and cover that in and cover this in that video. Okay, so chapter 7 is correction of errors, and I will be covering this with you at the start of that, and then move on to the correction of these errors. Let's look at the objectives quickly because this chapter is complete. So let's move back and see the objectives. Objectives, what they want you to know for your CIE syllabus. Okay, so the purpose and limitation of a trial balance, I told you, it is used to prepare statements, it is used to find errors. The limitations are that not all the errors are traceable using trial balance. So I have discussed that with you. How to prepare a trial balance from given list of balances. I have shown you how to do that. You just have to look at the final balance of the T accounts and then move the balances to the trial balance. And they want you to amend a trial balance which contains errors. I have just done that with you 5 minutes back, so you know how to do that as well. And then they want you to know about the types of errors which do not affect the trial balance. Okay, so these errors do not affect the trial balance. I am covering them just now in chapter 7, so let's move to that. Thank you so much, and that's it for this chapter.